Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. Moving on from a betrayal most foul, long but worthwhile read, I've been told. In 2004, I was young, naive, and hopelessly in love with my ex-fiancée. We were together for 4 years until she ended up in a mental institution. She was everything to me, and our child was much more important to me. You're most likely thinking about the next 4 years. So, I'd had enough time to move on. I'm mostly over it. But I do get a little nostalgic around significant anniversaries from that relationship, such as the day we moved in together, which was yesterday. Please accept my apologies in advance for what is likely to be a long piece. I will make every effort to keep it concise. I was in school when we met, on my way to getting a PhD, and we were shocked to learn she was expecting our child. Being the wonderful young man that I was, I assured her that I supported whatever decision she made. This was a lie, but I was certain that termination would be best for us because she hadn't begun her nursing program yet, and with both of us being in demanding schools, we wouldn't be able to complete our educations. It was exhausting trying everything: reasoning, empathy, and even having my elder sister attempt to convince her to terminate the pregnancy. Hindsight, this was all not the best way to go about it. Initially, I opted to end my relationship with her as a kind of intimidation during a prolonged time of weakness. All of this occurred because my parents were unaware that I was dating, and as a young man who terrified his mother's pain and fury, I was completely out of my mind. The news is brought to my parents' attention after 7 months, and after another 3 months, I move out of my parents' house and into the home of my girlfriend. 2 months after that, our daughter is born. Our inability to succeed while maintaining our father, boyfriend, and student lifestyles was predetermined, as I have said. After 2 years of living this lifestyle, I failed to get a bachelor's degree. I tell her that she should return home and get more assistance from her mother, who lives 2 hours away, in order for us to achieve academic success. This is where I get a job to assist them out financially while I finish my studies at the university. While they were down in Florida, I made a promise to myself to pay them a visit at least once a month and on every holiday. The strangeness began to creep in while I was doing the LDR. Rumors began to go among my friends and family that she was bringing men into and out of the house on a regular basis. When I approached her, she flatly denied all of my allegations. I went forward with it. Her brother alerted me that she was attending a party with a male classmate, and I was able to catch her in the act one day when she said she was at her best friend's house. Consequently, since I had the day off, I traveled down to her house and tried to wait for her there. Her mother had heard that I was coming and had gone home to shower before seeing me in. A series of occurrences identical to this one followed, and it was the following that proved to be the last straw. It's Christmas time, and our daughter is 3 years old this year. It was in February that I proposed to her, and we will be married in 3 months. I notice she's been giggling loudly in response to text messages she's received on her phone. Even if my suspicions are only modest, I'm planning on trying to get through the Christmas season and deal with it later. During our Christmas party, she gets very inebriated and accuses me of not believing in her, which comes as a surprise given the fact that I hadn't spoken anything to her in more than 4 months. She goes into a coma shortly after. When I put her to bed, I see that her phone is still ringing constantly. Given that she had her iPhone set up to display messages even when the device was closed, I couldn't help but note that this message was from a male friend she had mentioned on many occasions. "Baby, I adore you, but I love you much more," he adds. My anger has reached boiling point at this time, so I attempt to channel her energy and see what results. I, as she. I, too, am missing you. Him. Would you mind telling me whether your partner is asleep yet? I'd want to come through you. He's ready to retire for the night, so you'll have approximately 40 minutes to get through. To cut a long tale short, he never arrived, and after a furious argument with her brother that same night, I discovered she was, at least, a local police officer who mistook me for her deceased son. My name is tattooed on her, and that's the narrative she would tell. I don't sleep that night, and when she comes in, I quiz her about the previous night's events. She becomes defensive when I look through her phone, but she responds, "It was all a trap to see if you would go through my phone." I didn't accept it as an answer at first, but in a foolish effort to believe everything, I finally did. Fast forward a year, and we're not married due to a last-minute gut feeling. Another horrible sensation comes over me one day as I reflect on the past, and the feeling tells me that I should find out whether my kid is biologically mine. After coercing the girlfriend into agreeing to a test, she admits that there's a possibility I'm not the father. After 3 difficult weeks, it is revealed that the kid is not mine. After much deliberation, I realize I can't take it any longer and inform her that I'll begin the process of removing myself from their life altogether. After our breakup, she asked that I not see anybody for a time, which I told her she had no right to do. But that was my plan anyway. She admits that she intends to do the same. I learned through her relatives that she is pregnant with her second kid 4 months later and marries the father of that child 3 months later. This makes me quite happy, particularly because I discovered that the person and I had a striking likeness. I'm now in a nice relationship and have another degree, but I still find myself allowing the above tale knock me down on a regular basis, almost as if it governs my life at times. I have trust difficulties that I'm working to overcome since my current girlfriend is not like my previous fiancé. I'm praying that one day this will all be a memory. Final words. I have a minor concern that my ex-not daughter would seek me out one day since she is still being taught that I am her father and that I abandoned her. Words from her aunt, to whom I am close. Story 2. My wife's cheating hurts more than my cancer. To shorten a long story short, I was just diagnosed with stage 2 lung cancer. I was devastated. I was really depressed. I had no clue how I was going to notify my family, including my wife, children, and friends. My brother and closest friend are among those who are aware of what is going on. I still don't have the guts to tell anybody else about what happened. My family comprises of 3 members, 2 boys and a girl. The eldest is 11 years old and the youngest is 9. I can't imagine my life without them, and I'm not sure what they'll think if I tell them I'm worried about them, or even how to approach them in the first place. Someone called me around 2 weeks ago to tell me that my wife had been having relations with her boyfriend for more than 4 months. My wife and this individual are co-workers. She supplied copies of their direct messages as well as images of them. I was completely spent. I'm still here. Even worse, my wife was on a business trip at the time I discovered the situation, and she was almost certainly with this employee for the whole trip. I haven't said anything of her yet. I don't have the requisite stamina. At least, not for the time being. The woman who alerted me has not yet spoken to her husband about the situation. She is in the process of drafting divorce papers and putting her financial affairs in order. I suppose she's a lot stronger than I thought she was. I'm completely at a loss on what to do. My family is almost wholly reliant on me, and not only in terms of financial support. Since I don't know how much longer I have left to live, I've decided to get a divorce now, which means I'll only be able to see my children half of the time, which is killing me on the inside. My wife makes much less than I do, and since we live in a no-fault state, I would have to give up a great deal in the event of a marriage dissolution. I'm now 36 years old and heading to the grave, knowing full well that the person I believed to be my soulmate never genuinely loved me. My children are the only thing I have left, and I guess I'll simply have to accept the fact that I won't be able to provide them with a normal approximation of a happy family in the little time I have remaining. Please excuse the story. I just wanted to get it all out there in the open. To everyone who has suffered the heartbreak of being cheated on, just make the best of the situation you are in. Life is unpredictable, and you never know what will come your way. Simply said, you should live your life for the people who are most important in your life. I apologize if this post is mislabeled since I wasn't sure whose flair it belonged to when I wrote it. God's blessings to each and every one of you.